Close your eyes for a moment and picture the universe. Planets, stars, galaxies swirling in infinite darkness. A vast cosmic ocean, older than time itself. Now, open your eyes. Everything you just imagined, every planet, every beam of light, isn't really out there. It's in here. Every color you've ever seen, every sound you've ever heard, every texture, smell, and taste was never the thing itself. It was your mind's translation of it. Light doesn't have color. Air doesn't carry sound. And the world outside you might not exist the way you think it does. Scene 1. The fragile veil of perception. For thousands of years, humans have looked up at the night sky and wondered what's real. But reality, as science has come to understand, is not what our senses tell us. When light hits your eyes, it's just waves of electromagnetic radiation. When air vibrates against your eardrum, it's just pressure changes. And yet, your brain takes those meaningless waves and paints them into sunsets, voices, and symphonies. You don't see the world, you interpret it. Reality isn't something you observe, it's something your mind creates. This is the first unsettling truth. If everything we know depends on perception, then what happens when perception itself is questioned? Scene 2. The universe within. Imagine this. The universe as you know it, all the stars, galaxies, and laws of physics, exists only as information processed by consciousness. Your consciousness, our consciousness. It sounds impossible, yet some of the greatest minds in science and philosophy are beginning to suggest that it may be true. In the 20th century, physics broke something fundamental, the boundary between what is real and what is observed. Quantum mechanics, that strange, elegant language of particles, revealed a universe that behaves differently when it's being watched. An electron doesn't have a fixed location until it's measured. A photon can exist in multiple states until someone looks. It's as if reality waits for observation before deciding what to be. So the question arises, if reality depends on observation, what happens when consciousness is not a product of the universe, but the very thing creating it? Scene 3. The observer's paradox. Visuals. A scientist stares at a particle detector. A wave collapses into a point of light. Every experiment in quantum physics hints at something extraordinary, that the universe is participatory. The famous double-slit experiment, a simple test of light passing through two slits, showed that particles behave like waves of probability until they're observed. Once observed, they choose. They collapse into one defined reality. But observed by what? By instruments? By a human mind? By consciousness itself? No one knows. But this is where science meets philosophy, and where our understanding of reality begins to blur. Because if consciousness defines the universe's state, then perhaps the universe needs consciousness to exist. And if that's true, then everything, the stars, time, the laws of physics, is not out there. It's all happening inside the mind of the observer. Scene 5. The thought that thinks itself. A whisper of wind. Fade into neural networks glowing like galaxies. Here's a thought that haunts scientists and philosophers alike. What if consciousness isn't inside the universe, but the universe is inside consciousness? What if reality is like a simulation? Not digital, not artificial, but mental. Not running on silicon chips, but on thought itself. The physicist John Wheeler called it the participatory universe, a cosmos that doesn't exist without observers. He said, the universe does not exist out there, independently of us. Instead, we bring it into being through observation. And if that's true, then maybe we are not small beings looking out at a vast universe. Maybe we are the vastness itself, looking inward. Scene 5. When science turns to philosophy. Modern physics has reached a strange impasse. Every time we zoom deeper into matter, into the cosmic foam beneath existence, we find less stuff and more information. Not objects, but probabilities. Not certainty, but potential. Reality behaves like a thought before it becomes a thing. And in that thought lies something profound, a whisper that perhaps the universe itself is thinking. So, the next time you look at the stars, remember, they might not be as far away as they seem. They could be shimmering inside the mind of the very being observing them. But if this is true, if consciousness gives rise to reality, then whose mind are we living in?
The idea that the universe exists only in the mind is not new. It's as old as thought itself. Long before quantum physics, long before telescopes and equations, philosophers and mystics whispered the same unsettling truth, that reality might be nothing more than consciousness projecting itself outward. Scene 1. The Ancient Dreamers. Over 2,500 years ago, in the East, the Upanishads of India declared, "All that exists is the self." In China, Lao Tzu spoke of the Tao, a boundless flow of existence in which observer and observed were never separate. And in ancient Greece, the philosopher Plato imagined the world as shadows, flickering illusions on the walls of a cave. Humanity has always sensed that what we call reality is only a reflection of something deeper. Soft, otherworldly tones. To the mystics, that something deeper was spirit. To the philosophers, it was mind. To modern scientists, it's becoming something we can almost measure. Scene 2. The simulation of the senses. Every second, your brain receives billions of data points from your senses, but it can only process a tiny fraction of them. What it keeps is what it needs for survival. What it discards is everything else. The colors you see are only one octave of light. The sounds you hear are only a whisper in the ocean of vibration. The world you experience is not the full reality. It's a compressed version, a simulation your mind constructs. Neuroscientists call this the reality model, a continuously updated mental representation of what your brain thinks is out there. But there's a catch. If all we ever experience is that mental model, then how can we be sure anything out there even exists? Maybe, just maybe, there is no out there, only in here. Scene 3. The dream that dreams itself. You've had dreams that felt real, dreams where you could see, feel, even fear. Inside those dreams, you were convinced the world around you existed, until you woke up. So what if waking life is just another dream, but shared, synchronized, and stabilized by the collective consciousness of billions of minds? In a sense, we could all be co-authors of the same cosmic hallucination. Each of us a lens through which the universe observes itself. And when one lens closes, the observation ends. But the dream continues. Scene 4. When physics meets mind. Modern physics, despite its precision, has begun circling back to the same paradox that mystics have known for millennia. Matter is not solid. Particles are not real objects. Everything, from stars to cells, is made of vibrating fields of potential. Potential that only becomes something when consciousness looks at it. Physicist Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, once said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. Matter is derivative from consciousness." If that's true, then consciousness isn't a byproduct of the brain. The brain is a byproduct of consciousness. That turns everything we know upside down. It means the universe didn't create awareness. Awareness created the universe. Scene 6. The hidden blueprint. The more we study reality, the more it behaves like information. as if there's a code beneath the fabric of everything. Physicist John Wheeler described this idea as it from bit, that everything physical is information at its core. But information to whom? Information is meaningless without a mind to interpret it. So, if the universe is made of information, there must be an interpreter, a consciousness large enough to perceive it all. Could that interpreter be the universe itself? Maybe we are fragments of a single cosmic mind, each of us localized nodes in an infinite network of awareness, experiencing itself through 1,000 perspectives. And when one lens closes, the observation ends. But the dream continues. Scene 4. When physics meets mind. Modern physics, despite its precision, has begun circling back to the same paradox that mystics have known for millennia. Matter is not solid. Particles are not real objects. Everything, from stars to cells, is made of vibrating fields of potential. Potential that only becomes something when consciousness looks at it. Physicist Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, once said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. Matter is derivative from consciousness." If that's true, then consciousness isn't a byproduct of the brain. The brain is a byproduct of consciousness. That turns everything we know upside down. It means the universe didn't create awareness. Awareness created the universe. We've followed this strange idea through ancient philosophy and human perception. Now, science, the most rational, methodical pursuit of truth, is finding itself cornered by the same question. If everything we measure depends on the observer, then what is the observer made of? And deeper still, is the observer the only thing that's real? Scene 1. The quantum puzzle. In the subatomic world, there is no certainty, no fixed position, no solid thing. Particles dissolve into probability, a haze of potential waiting to be realized. Only when we observe them do they take shape. This is the measurement problem, one of the greatest mysteries in physics. It suggests that the universe doesn't exist in a definite state until something or someone looks at it. Scientists have tried to escape this conclusion for decades. They've built theories upon theories, many worlds, hidden variables, decoherence, but none can fully remove the ghost of consciousness lurking in the equation. Scene 2. The mind of the atom. In the 1930s, physicist Eugene Wigner proposed something shocking. He suggested that consciousness itself causes the collapse of the quantum wave function, that the mind brings potential into actuality. To test this, scientists imagined a thought experiment, Wigner's friend. Imagine two observers, one inside a lab, one outside. The friend measures a quantum particle, collapsing its wave. But to the outside observer, the entire lab is still in a superposition. The particle, the friend, and their observation all blurred together. So who decides what's real? Where does the collapse truly occur? No one can agree, but every answer leads back to the same haunting conclusion. Somewhere, consciousness is involved. Scene 3. The universe as a simulation. There's another theory that tries to explain it all. It doesn't rely on mysticism or religion, but on logic, mathematics, and computation. It's called the simulation hypothesis. According to this idea, the entire universe is a kind of virtual reality, a simulation so vast, so complex, that its inhabitants believe it's real. Physicist Nick Bostrom proposed that if any civilization becomes advanced enough to run perfect simulations of conscious beings, then statistically, we're almost certainly living inside one. That would mean every atom, every star, every human thought is just data. And consciousness, the one experiencing it, is the only true reality. Camera pans through digital grids, dissolving into galaxies. Ironically, this brings us back to where philosophy began, because whether the universe runs on divine thought or cosmic code, either way, we are living inside a mind. Scene 4. The brain that builds reality.
Neuroscience gives us another clue, one that bridges physics and perception. Inside your skull, a silent electrical storm never stops. Every memory, every image, every feeling is built from tiny surges of electricity. Your brain doesn't receive reality, it constructs it. Every moment, it predicts, fills in, and edits the world around you. When you look at a tree, you don't see photons hitting your retina. You see a vivid green shape because your mind decided that's what tree means. And when you look away, that tree no longer exists in your consciousness until you call it back again. The mind doesn't live in the universe. The universe lives in the mind. Scene 5. The Mathematics of Awareness. Mathematician Roger Penrose once proposed that consciousness might arise from quantum processes within the brain, microtubules acting like quantum computers. This theory, called orchestrated objective reduction, suggests that your thoughts could be connected to the same quantum fabric that governs the cosmos. If that's true, then your awareness is not isolated. It's quantumly entangled with everything else that exists. You are not a separate observer. You are part of the observation itself, a living node of the universe reflecting its own awareness back upon itself. Scene 7. The Mathematics of Awareness. Mathematician Roger Penrose once proposed that consciousness might arise from quantum processes within the brain, microtubules acting like quantum computers. This theory, called orchestrated objective reduction, suggests that your thoughts could be connected to the same quantum fabric that governs the cosmos. If that's true, then your awareness is not isolated. It's quantumly entangled with everything else that exists. You are not a separate observer. You are part of the observation itself, a living node of the universe reflecting its own awareness back upon itself. Scene 7. The Mathematics of Awareness. The more we look, the more we find meaning hidden in the mathematics of reality. The universe behaves with elegance, as though designed by intelligence. From the quantum spin of an electron to the shape of a galaxy's spiral arms, the same patterns occur over and over again. Coincidence? Or consciousness manifesting order through mathematical beauty? Einstein once said, "The most incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it is comprehensible." Maybe it's comprehensible because it's being written by a mind, the greatest mind imaginable. Scene 7. The Glitch in the Simulation. But if this is a mental or simulated universe, can we ever see its limits? Some scientists think so. Quantum physicist Silas Bean proposed that if reality is a simulation, it should have a resolution limit, like pixels on a screen. And recent discoveries, the quantization of energy, the discrete nature of space-time, might just be hints of that limit. Even the cosmic background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang, contains patterns eerily similar to computer encoding. It's as if the cosmos is whispering through the static. You are inside something. Something vast, something aware, something aware. Narrator softly. But if this universe is a simulation or a dream, one question remains. Who is running it?
The screen fades from darkness into a glowing horizon of stars. Narrator, warm, contemplative. If reality is born from consciousness, then every question we've ever asked about space, time, life, or death comes back to one mystery. Who or what is the dreamer? Long pause, the sound of distant wind, like breathing. Scene 1. The Mirror of the Cosmos. Visual, a galaxy rotating slowly, its arms shaped like spiraling neurons. As science dives deeper into the quantum world and philosophy searches for meaning in consciousness, both seem to arrive at the same reflection. The universe behaves not like a cold mechanical void, but like something aware, something thinking. Every atom, every particle, every beam of light might be a spark of that cosmic mind. You and I, We are not separate from it. We are it. Soft piano melody begins, warm and melancholy. The stars above your head and the thoughts inside your mind are made of the same energy, just vibrating at different scales. Matter and mind are not opposites. They are one and the same thing, seen from two sides of the mirror. Scene 2. When science faces spirit. Music fades to a quiet hum. Visuals, microscopes transitioning to galaxies. Equations dissolving into symbols of ancient wisdom. For centuries, science and spirituality stood apart, one dealing in equations, the other in faith. But in the last century, something remarkable happened. Quantum physics, neuroscience, and cosmology began to brush against truths that ancient mystics had already glimpsed. When the Buddha said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." When Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." When the Vedas spoke of Brahman, the cosmic consciousness, perhaps they weren't speaking in metaphors. Perhaps they were describing what quantum physics is only now discovering. Pause. The music swells slightly. A truth so large, so intimate, that it erases the border between you and the universe. Scene 3. The death of distance. Ethereal choral tones. Visual, hands reaching across galaxies, merging into light. If the universe exists within consciousness, then there is no true separation. The stars aren't light years away. They are within the same awareness that's reading these words right now. And if that's true, then when we die, we don't vanish. Because consciousness cannot disappear, it only transforms. Just as a wave returns to the ocean, you will return to the field of awareness from which everything arises. Soft piano, slow fade to deep blue visuals of waves and starlight merging. This isn't immortality of the body, it's immortality of the mind that dreams the body. And maybe you've been here before. Scene 4. The God within. Slow, glowing visuals of light particles becoming a human silhouette. In a universe made of mind, the concept of God changes. No longer a distant being watching from above, but the very consciousness that breathes through you. Every thought, every heartbeat, every act of love or creation is the universe expressing itself through you. Pause. The music swells slightly, a sense of quiet reverence. You are not a small observer trapped in space. You are space, observing itself through a single point. That's what it means to awaken. Light fills the screen. Galaxies spin like neurons firing. A deep, calm voice, slow and deliberate. Across the world, scientists, philosophers, and seekers are beginning to converge on one idea: that consciousness is not a side effect of evolution, but the foundation of existence itself. It means the universe isn't an accident. It's art, it's intelligence, it's awareness becoming aware. And if that's true, then every discovery we make, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, is not a step away from the divine, but a step closer to understanding what we are. Because the moment we realize that the universe is in the mind, we stop being afraid of it. We see that life, death, time, and matter are all movements in the same eternal thought, one that's still unfolding right now. Scene 6. The infinite dream. Music becomes ethereal, swelling into cinematic majesty. Visual, countless stars flickering in unison, like neurons firing in a brain made of galaxies. Maybe we're not trapped in someone's mind. Maybe we are that mind. Maybe the dreamer and the dream are one,
And awakening doesn't mean escaping the universe, but seeing it clearly for the first time. Soft, emotional tone. A human silhouette stands under the stars. Because when you look out at the cosmos, you are consciousness gazing at its own reflection. And in that realization, the fear disappears. You were never just a passenger in this reality. You were and always have been the observer, the creator, the dreamer. Scene 7. Closing reflection. The sound fades to soft stillness. A faint heartbeat remains. Narrator, softly, almost a whisper. What if the universe has been whispering all along? Not through words, but through you. Every thought, every question, every act of wonder is the universe remembering itself. So the next time you stare into the stars and feel that quiet ache of recognition, know this: you are not looking out. You are looking in. Because everything you see, everything you know, and everything you are has always been inside the mind of the infinite.